in a test track in Neox Factory because there's nowhere else to go?
Well,
Myth are wishing that they did because they're running into GAM now.
The funny thing is already a lot of teams did.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, it's already pretty packed. So if anybody tries to, they're going to be in trouble, I feel like.
All right, Myth, looks like they're going to try to bulldoze their way right into GAM. GAM is kind of letting this one go, but VP is tail-ending right back behind Myth. So if the path presents itself, VP could just stop third party, or they can just try to use Myth as a distraction in front of them. DK just trying to get closer to the circle, but Scappy's going to be the point guy, and GAM has just got so much control over this corridor over here. Now with DK crashing on the other side of GAM, specifically Glorious, could open up a movement for Myth as Jacob's now starting to get punished by VP.
Yeah, Myth is unsure of what's going to be a reasonable vector of attack. Meanwhile, VP, because they've been patient behind Myth, could just kind of pick at Myth's backside, look for that moment to third party when they know that Myth is going to have to likely commit to a fight somewhere up on this side, or they might just keep driving north. They might be able to just get around GAM. GAM opts to go for a bit of a 2-2 split here, reinforcing their southern and northern flanks to make sure that wherever Myth goes, they're going to have some kind of damage to be put down.
I don't really like this for Myth. They're going to be stuck right up against the zone wall. Duck Juice is playing around over there, kind of watching the movements that are going to be happening. So if they manage to squeak by, that's just going to put them, Myth, most notably into Genji's positioning. Team Liquid has managed to touch the circle right now. It's going to be the other side of the hill, high ground for Luke 12. It's pretty close to Genji. Is Kickstart just taking a couple of pot shots at everything that's going on in test track because it'd be popping off over there.
Yeah, those are a lot of players that are up inside of the control tower for VC, and they've got a lot of kills on the Twisted Minds. It's just Perfectix on a bush is all you're going to be finding yourself with. For the team that's been on the up and up today. They're up to 61 points. They've been having a really solid day, but and especially given a test track circle, you feel like this is their bread and butter. But there's so many teams that clustered into this area early. It just got too congested for Twisted Minds to make any kind of move, it feels like, and they just got smothered out.
Looks like we have maybe a recall coming in, and I think it's the T1 players. Yes, it is. They're going to make a commitment drop right on top of Neox Factory. We're at least raining an E-end. Heather is still over in Stadium, just having completed the res call. So I believe that Team Liquid kind of managed to get what they wanted out of it. But the question really comes down to, can T1 even make landfall over here? If they can, it's going to feel good. But they've got to loot so fast. As we've moved away from Test Track to Neox Factory, we're in that middle valley position just to the northeast of it. And that's going to be a dirty place to have to fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of rolling hills inside of this circle with a little bit of high ground from the Test Track facilities that are still in play, so actually pretty tricky for a lot of these teams. But Falcons, because of that high ground, you're not the high ground, the eyes high in the sky, let's go with that, they are able to find some value. VP losing players, Hakatori catching some damage, Beamy already removed from existence right now. Lukaruk trying to drive down the road.
This is big. They're managing to get in front of everybody in Test Track who's going to have to try to get out of it. The only downside is it's them and Falcons jockeying for position around that center point hill. While we still have 49 people alive, this is a perfect mortar area. You can already, I think, start to hear them going off in the distance. If you get to this point, yeah, it's pretty all right, but you have to assume that there's going to be maybe 5, 6 mortars coming after you in just a few seconds?
Yeah, it could be. Right now, it doesn't seem like any. There it is. There's Park Pro. He should be targeting VP, I would think. Let's see if he's got the...
Oh!
What?
What'd you hit?
Did that hit? Did he hit it like something in front of him?
Did he hit his own hand? I don't know.
I'm not even sure.
I don't know if Park Pro knows. That science is weird. Physics do physics things sometimes, as now Full Sense is going to have to make a wrap over on one side of it. Falcons and Team Liquid going to be containing them, while it's going to be Vicious having a great spot in that northern compound of Test Track. So where do you go? Genji trying to get out of the high ground, and Tigger's running right up into the face of Luke 12. This is Full Sense, I think, coming into this blind with no idea where to go.
Yeah, Full Sense is just sending it off the backside of everything, trying to find some level of safety. Likely they're going to be maybe duking it out with Falcons there. Meanwhile, VP has to cluster up. They've run out of decent options as they're being forced out of every position, so they got to use these grenades to create some extra foxholes for themselves. Was there another...
Did he double load?
Is that possible?
I don't know.
I didn't even know
I've never tried it. That's the only thing I can think of. I have no idea what happened there, but all right, here's the explosions, and VP No points so far for VP, so this is all Nixie just trying to stay alive. Falcons know who's there. They want him down and out, and they got the BRDM, and they are on the hunt. Vitality actually crashes the other side of it as well. All the squads in the hunt trying to find something for the championship. Have eyes on the VP, and finally, VP don't find points.
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time, and now as the Falcons, you got to be licking your lips thinking we've got an opportunity. They're doing damage here and there. They're getting knocks onto Team Liquid, onto Full Sense. So a bunch of teams starting to crumble underneath this firing squad that they've created for themselves. Yes, Gustav wants to try to dig out some territory. They have a BRDM too. This is looking really solid for Falcons to get deep into this game and gain some ground on VP.
Bait and switch hard shift goes back down to test track, so VC in a great position, AGAL as well. T1 having that remnants of their players still alive, kind of hanging out of there as Twisted Minds kind of gets killed out in the position that they play from off the start. Over in the east, though, we've got Geekay that's going to be fighting for a position on top of Na'Vi, Gam, and Myth. Genji's got to come down from the hillsides that they've been playing in the north, and Full Sense, who did manage to survive on their rotate, now also has to come down, and it's going to be contesting against Vitality's position and Falcon's position to the north and center, and BC that's just got a great compound itself.
Yeah, nice stuff there from Na'Vi to clean up Clories. So Gam again continues to struggle. Only 2 kills into this game, only 34 points total. Full Sense looking to try to put some pressure from the high ground onto Falcons, but again with that BRDM, with some of that extra little cover they have from the emergency cover and other things that they're going to be able to create for themselves, should be a-okay. GK trying to find some safety of their own. Myth has been beat up behind them, and they're getting tagged from the side by Na'Vi, who's on that eastern side. AGAL, VC, going to be able to continue to lock down the test track.
Here we go, Full Sense, not too many options to go. Looks like they're going to send it down into that VC positioning that you're talking about. Does manage to squeak out one position on the side, but the east is just, it's a game of chicken right now. Nobody wants to make a move into the circle, and it's getting scarier. Why Vitality is getting more and more cover. Sure, just keep trying to blow them up. They're doing a great job on just juking out all the explosions and finding themselves somewhere comfortable to play from. Falcons does spot out Belmoth. He's going to go down, and then Soul also managed to spot out Myth. So I think that Gen G's just got to crash right on top of Myth. They've got to stop this, get the contain angle in, and that's going to allow Na'Vi to get in the circle over in the east.
Yeah, so you're exactly right, Matt. That is what Gen G wants to accomplish. So they got Soul and Salute on opposite sides, and Soul has been incredible with the grenades, one of the best in the lobby with the explosives. He gets it done with the mortar, he gets it done with the frag grenades, and he's doing some damage up there on the outside. Meanwhile, Vitality has set up shop, pretty decent little defensive position that Hollow MyBad has created for himself. Na'Vi, very slow aggression, looking to pick up some of these points, but it's going to be Gen G, Salute, Bean, and Soul claiming Myth for this one.
Gen G trying to get a bit of a come up of their own. Keep eyes on Falcons and Na'Vi, opposite sides of the circle right now, but these are squads that are fighting to try to catch up to VP. Big potential coming up for Falcons, and they know it. They've got territory control, and really it's Full Sense, the closest squad next to them. Vitality, as far as club championship points go, they're in a great climb position. We can see that they're presently sitting in that safe 7th place, but it just takes a couple of kills. As my God, Vitality just decided to stop a lot of what was going on over there. Bit of peace coming up from VC as well, as Vitality starting to get a lot of shots thrown their direction. I think they pissed off a few too many people.
Yeah, it is kind of tough when you're in those early center positions to lock them down, and that's why you got to give Falcons some credit. They did a really nice job with that. Salute should be dead here. Yeah, there's no hope of getting to that rock. Now, the good news is that Bean is going to be able to find the res. It looks like there's still just enough time, I think, to get that done. Hakatori setting out some pre-smokes, knows he has to make a move forward, knows that Geekay going to be underneath their hill. So yeah, Genji does get their reses in, and Salute gonna have to go for that first aid, but he's helmetless right now.
Full Sense is causing a problem for Falcons over in the west. That's how come they can't get too much territory control. That's open more over into the east for Vitality. So with these shots coming out from Genji, they need to get a knock on somebody from Na'Vi or Geekay, one of the two of them, but it looks like most of their focus is on Na'Vi. That could be a problem because the way that these rocks are kind of set, you can see that there is a directed line right into Geekay, but really Gen G can't see it too well from this point. So if they wrap directly into the circle, they're going to get punished heavy. If they go to the west, it's either going to be Vitality or Falcons that gets a piece of them. Uh-oh, yeah, and this is what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Gen G is moving more to that other rock. That's going to put him very close to Geekay.
Yeah, so Na'Vi has to make some decisions right now. You know, are they just going to continue to harass these teams that are on the edge to clear that out, to try to take a more fair fight, but getting a lot of damage in return. They do have that Pico bus, and man, Salute I thought he was going to keep dialing in on that angle, but smokes are down, making it a little bit tougher for him. Is hitting headshots, doing a lot of damage here to Na'Vi, so that armor going to be continued to be weakened up, and they're kind of thwarted from this attempt to clear out their northern edge.
AGAL also has to try to get in the circle, but it's going to be supervised by VC. They're probably going to be in some trouble in a second. A lot of shots coming out. You can hear in the distance going to be at them that popped in a car just trying to rotate past all this. Really, it's about can Na'Vi fight their way into the circle, because we're looking at the top of the leaderboard right now. Gen.G just might have to surrender these over into the blue zone, even though it's phase number 6, because there's just no path in. I mean, I don't even know if DK can get in, and they're still pretty close to the circle.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's pretty much difficult for all these teams on this east side to cleanly get through. That's why Na'Vi has to turn their attention north. They have to try to create the points where they can. They know the position they're in the leaderboard. They know Falcons is still in the lobby, so they have to fight tooth and nail for every inch that they're going to be going further forward.
He's got a prep. The way that Na'Vi are playing this show, it is punishable. Not going to go for the first part of it, assuming somebody's coming after him. Park Park's gone down. Looks like he's just trying to go for flushes. Do they know where Zongjong is? Nade's starting to come up. Gedrox actually gets the knock on a Na'Vi. Follow-up nades coming up. Everybody's just getting demolished over here into the east. Gen.G survived for long enough to walk into the Falcon sight line.
Yep, and this is why Na'Vi had to go north, why they had to take these fights, because everything else is just dire. It's unbelievably difficult. And you can see why. Great nades, though, from Vitality, who's making a climb up the leaderboard up to 7th right now. Full sense sending it right underneath. But Pau might have an angle. No, not quite. Looking to try to get up there to find one. Tycon having to use smokes to give himself some leverage to get over to the top of this position.
Uh-oh. Circles popped, and it is abandoned that road that we were looking at just a second ago. VC in a lot of trouble now. Tycon, I think, is in the lower section. He's got to keep control with now this more aggressive Full Sense that you're talking about. Full Sense just couldn't find an angle onto Falcons, and that is a massive problem as finally Gen.G goes down. But big heart for those guys for staying alive in such a desperate situation. It is just Vitality, and I guess they're 5,000 dips that they've managed to have through explosions holding down the circle in the north. To the south, VC trying to get some control, but this is very open over here.
Yeah, it's quite the trench network that Vitality's been able to create over here. I'm sure some mortars earlier might have helped with that. More mortars I hear streaking through the air. But right now, Falcons have a tough decision to make. The great news for them, again, that BRDM's still there, so they can make the most of bad situations. Try to let some of these other teams fight. Try to thwart Full Sense from coming on this north side. Make them fight VC. Open up another opportunity to get into the circle.
They're all waiting right now for Vitality. They know where Vitality is. For Vitality to start having to take shots maybe at Full Sense or VC like you're talking about. If the Falcons' timing is great, they can use the BRDM to fight into the position that Vitality's been playing from, or they can go more of this Full Sense side, maybe take the fight with VC. Oh, but the positioning there just isn't good. Hello, my bad. Gets knocked onto Shrimzy. That's going to throw off all the timing. Denadol's also over here. He's going to try to get a piece, but nah, Levante says that's mine.
That was beautifully orchestrated by Vitality. Those grenades were right on the money. They took Shrimzy down quick before he could do anything about it. Tiggleton was just waiting in the back, and again, Falcons just not able to find the opportunity that they'd like to make a move in this circle. Finally, Full Sense going to be sending it in towards that western edge. Pau, Duckmai as well getting in there. Tycon keeping his eyes on towards the Full Sense members to keep them corralled.
Big blow-up opportunity for Full Sense if they can survive, but VC's just been on a climb and 13 kills and more counting. Oh, the Panzer doesn't quite connect. Levante trying to get the shots onto Gustav. He does manage to pick him up. And now Falcons nowhere to go. They just have to run right in between Full Sense and Vitality both. That is big for VC, who's got control of the south. Nades and everything just being thrown right at a Full Sense to keep some control on the angle, but Vitality now trying to leave their cubbies and on the hunt for Falcons.
Oh man, this is on a knife's edge for the Falcons. That BRDM is going to explode, so they're not going to have the safety of it to use anymore. Smokes are down to at least hopefully buy them a little bit more time. Tiggleton has the P90, so a pretty powerful gun to potentially fight your way out of this, but it's going to be tough to get it into play. It feels like Full Sense still clinging to life over on that western edge, but Levante doesn't want them to be there.
Here's the thing, everything's coming up for VC in the best way possible right now. They've got control of the south, they've got a hillside to play from, everybody's focused on the Falcons, and VC is just finding all of these kills. They're right back tied with Vitality right now, who are playing the northern section of the circle. We're in phase number 8. Circle control definitely favors Pau in his positioning for the time being, and the longer that Falcons stay alive over here, it's stalled out anything that Vitality can get going.
It's been a really nice hold here from VC. They've been able to crouch or encroach on some of the territory of Vitality, but again, that tucked in position of Vitality really annoying for all these teams to deal with. It's on top of a hill, which gives you so much ability to keep track of what's going on around you, put damage down, force these other teams to have to make moves out in the open or expend utility to try to create some space. You know, if they want to create some dips, you got to throw some frag grenades or something like that as well. And as a P90 for Tigger, and he gets tagged up just trying to go anywhere towards those bushes, towards some kind of safety.
Okay, Full Sense doesn't have any options to the north. Vitality's doing a good job on control over there. They know Falcons are still alive. So Full Sense keeps trying to wrap down into the southern area, but two players are already set up for VC, waiting to pounce. It's Tycon, Duck My doubled up, waiting for an opportunity to just absolutely demolish anybody that walks through that corridor. Falcons, they're just trapped. They can't go to the south. They can't run to the circle. They're just having to weather this and hold the best that they can. Tig's trying to creep out and find more, but you can see it's instantly punished. Now Molotovs galore just being dropped on top of him. And that is just one cooked Falcon with Tig having nowhere to go. Kickstart in a ton of trouble. Trying to say maybe he can get more out of it. At least finds one more point, putting it in touching distance of VP.
That was a hell of a grenade from Kick. He did a ton of damage with it. Fortunately able to get the point for Falcons. Desperately need everything they can get here. So now Kick just trying to stay alive, but Levante not going to allow it. Has been an absolute menace. 816 damage in this one from Levante. 8 kills for Vitality.
Full Sense sandwich going on right now. Vitality to the north, VC pretty much in the center to the south. Full Sense right up against the blue zone. Exact same position that we saw Falcons trying to fight their way out of. They're gonna go down. Now the real battle begins. Vitality, VC, so close on the leaderboard, 4th and 5th respectively. Just 2 points between. Vitality with the high ground. But again, circle control. Feels like it's VC on this side of the hill. Now utility coming out. And you gotta play this one safe because it also feels like Vicious has been playing with a lot more control of territory. They probably have a lot more utility, but the shots trying to find something. Tycon goes down.
Yeah, this is a really nice push from Vitality. It kept players pinned. They're doing a nice job, but it's going to be a response here. Duck My down, one player spotted. This should be the end. This should be Team Vitality taking the win, and they do.
Massive for the club championship, massive for Vitality, and you can see massive for Levante and the crew. They are just...
At 5 on the day.
I mean, you nailed it. I was wondering where my boy Tycon was at, and finally he's coming back alive over there. So playing paths over next to Oyang, gonna end up around Owen Sauce, so it should be pretty okay. Everything gonna be on the table.
There's a chicken on screen. I had to make chicken noise.
No, don't you start doing that looty thing. Don't you do it.
Oh, sorry. It's gotten into my brain. It's his fault.
It's all Ludy's
gotta blame
fault.
him. Yeah. Sorry, Barney.
I blame Barney.
Yeah.
It's always easier to blame Barney. Like, blaming Ludy just makes you feel bad because he'll look at you with sad eyes.
I know. And Barney is just like, well.
Barney just lets it roll off shoulders. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, okay, dude. All right. Pretty fair playing path, kind of down to the southwest side. It's going to make it a little bit of a stretch to get up to like Yongchun. So that does cut out a little bit of where T1 would normally probably like to drop. So Hoppo going to be over towards the west, and everybody else kind of in fair play for most of the map. You know, Falcon's going to have to drive for a bit to get to the airport, but everything else right around where they normally would want to go. It's going to be school area for Shadow, and that's about where the circle ends up. It's sending itself south again.
Big for Navi. Look at that. Prime position, whatever they want to play from. Already got a center control position if they want to go around that. Remember the squad that's just continuing to try to catch up to Falcons. Falcons going to have to much later rotate going for that airport and then having to work their way back in. Yes, the east is going to be easy for Falcons to kind of navigate, but there are a couple of hillsides whenever we look into like the northwest of Oyang, where Myth is presently playing and Sa is, that kind of create some problems in rotating into a circle like this specifically.
No, you're right. It can be really kind of tricky in some of those paths that teams are going to want to take. Gustav showing off a little bit for us.
Yeah.
Love it. Get some air, my friend. Give us some of those bike moves, if you will.
Can we talk for a second? Because Falcons has an IGL changeup, right?
Yeah.
With Gustav, and Gustav now having to play catch-up and make calls and everything else like that against VP, who played so dominant yesterday. There's a lot of mental effort that goes into it. I know Gustav's a great player. I know he's been around for a long time, but that's a big burden to suddenly throw on somebody's shoulders, and it feels like it's working right now because he is managing to work with Gunnar and the rest of the crew and close that gap.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think, you know, Kick really gave a candid interview, you know,
most
the other
mature
day.
interview I've ever seen in
Yeah,
esports.
he's just like,
I
look,
loved it.
I don't take feedback well, so it's just not really working out in this current iteration. So it makes more sense to have Gustav, who likes to play that aggressive edge game. You've got the talent on this Falcons team for it. If you could create those edge scenarios for yourself too, it also tees up stuff like Tig's mortars, things like that all kind of coalesce into these big games.
And re-unlocks Kickstart and his firing capabilities. Like, we saw a clutch capability coming up from Big yesterday, keeping themselves inside of all of this. So I know that everybody wants to know what's going on.
Don't land on the roof. Oh my God.
Flip it, flip it.
Oh my God.
Oh no. You see Xiao Wu just stare at it. He just stops and he's like, you are kidding me.
So you have to be careful with these. This is let it know.
It's allowed. It's allowed, Xiao Wu.
This is take it out. Yeah, take out your anger at it. But this is why you actually have to be really careful with these care packages, is because if you don't call them in like with a little bit of difference, because they don't just come right underneath where the flare goes. It has a radius of about 20 to 30 meters, I want to say, that it's going to land in. So you have to be really careful with where you shoot it up at, because things like that happen.
I think that's more unlucky than if it had landed on the roof. Maybe if you like landed on the roof, you could figure out some weird thing to do.
Yeah, you can get up there. Like, you can get another vehicle and like get your way up there. You know, depending on the building, of course, but there's ways to get on a roof. Like, there's always a way. Even a motorcycle, vault or something like that. But this for Huang F, if he hits this shot, he's not going to look at it in the right direction. I was really hoping that he was going to go for the Carnival bang.
I mean, Gam's got a great position in the circle, playing to the northwest of Song looking into position on Navi, other side. This is why we saw Shadow kind of roaming around. Good start. I mean, squad with Shadow, I was super excited when they qualified. Setsuna and the crew, I mean, love them, but this is definitely more of a learning experience. They did get their victory yesterday.
Yeah.
So there is still some more on the table, and it's not like they're entirely out of it. They're still in that pack that 10-ish points could work for them and put them back in the middle of a lot of this. But yeah, I just love, you can tell the hands come off the keyboard the moment he kind of sees it for like, what?
We've all been there, right? Where just something happens where you just can't help but stare. Delwyn getting punished. It's a little bit of a tap spray. He takes himself out in the end, but now there's another fight going on here right now. Heather getting the work done. He's getting tagged up, though, by Himas at range. Is going to be able to get back to the safety of that US, but the feet are sticking out. It's another headshot. Destroy driving by. Takes down Heather with a little help from Himas.
Just on the hunt right now. T1 rolling right through AGAL, kind of saving Shadow, who was in a really desperate situation. Jexy's still kind of in a bad spot, as he also has Himas right on top of him. T1 tries to just retaliate into a really weird spot against Sololzy. Sololzy's just going to try to cut it across. Jexy's just going to thank everybody for the work. AGAL is eliminated, and Shadow's just thanking their lucky stars in that one.
Yeah, and the reason that T1 is so keen on committing to this like wagon fight with the cars is because they want to try to get those blue chips potentially as well, but maybe the safety not going to be there. I'm not sure if they were able to scoop them up or not. They might have had just enough time to, since other members of AGAL were fighting Shadow. Meanwhile, Geeke, we see that they are no strangers to fighting today. EJ tags a little bit of damage into Clories here just to send him away.
So as we're talking about the club championships with you guys, one of the things that you need to know is that means that there is more money on the table for the organization to kind of feed the entirety of the ecosystem for their team and their organization itself. That means that some squads that are in the hunt might play a bit more aggressive than normal. One of those that I've got my eye on right now is Vitality, who's kind of rolled into position, forcing Gam to play away from this angle that they've been kind of holding. I mean, Gam already kind of planned to surrender at this point, but whenever we talk about squads such as Navi, Vitality, that are really just trying to find some more out of this to see if they can catch up, VP on their climb, of course, Falcons as well, that means that they have to be a little bit more, I guess, on edge and really just trying to fight for that extra little bit in all these firefights, especially whenever you've got Vitality and Navi just 1 point separated from each other right now.
Exactly, and there's still a lot of games to be played, frankly. I know we only have 2 more here today, and then at the end of the day, we add 10 to whoever the top scorer is for points, whether that be VP or whoever. And then that's the threshold for tomorrow. Now there's a grenade right towards Setsuna. Doesn't take much from that. Only 6 damage going to clock into him.
Here, let's go ahead and break it down for you guys using just fake-ish math. Let's say that this was the last game and it was done. VP's at 106. That means that tomorrow, in order to win in the Smash Cup, you'd have to break 116 points
and then
get a win.
Yeah.
It cannot happen in the same game. So let's say VP gets 12 kills inside, like 12 kills or something else like that in game number 1. They are now eligible to win. But if they got, let's say, 2 kills and a victory with 10 points in the first game, VP still has to play another game because you have to get the chicken dinner after breaking the threshold on points in the previous game.
Yeah, I like the way you said that. Eligible to win, I think, is a good way to describe that. And that's kind of what tomorrow is going to be all about. And then, of course, if we play 6 games tomorrow, and it just then comes down to whoever's at the top of the leaderboard if nobody can hit that winning threshold.
And that's why we keep talking about the win threshold capabilities, is because if Falcons are just 13 points behind, they're technically 23 points now behind the threshold to be able to get that chicken dinner. So the more Falcons can close the gap, the more everybody else can kind of sneak in. And that's why VP is getting, I like how the desk said, not necessarily focus, but just a lot of people that did their research and know where there's an opportunity to kind of stall out VP.
Yeah, and speaking of VP, they have a tough circle ahead of them here, Matt. Yeah. There's not a lot of great options initially, but they've been so good at finding, opportunities where it doesn't necessarily look like there are some. Now they're going to be under fire from 17 as they make their transition over to the west side, but they do have teams like Liquid, Gen G. They're going to be cutting ahead of them. You got a lot of teams rotating in from the south, including Falcons, who are just now trying to cut their way down to find some space. But look at this, VC getting really close to the Falcons.
T1 did get their players back. Gen G has spotted them, I think, in the skies. Could be chasing them down. Now it's all about setups. VP ready and raring to go. There is a red zone that is in the center of the circle, and that could be impactful. It's just kind of creating a couple more dips before all the mortar fire lands down in there to give you something to, I guess, initially start building from.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you can see VP doesn't like that initial angle, so they're going to try a different direction. That's a Panzer, and that's a dead player. Sung jumped down, but a Khan there to trade.
Okay, play it, reset the time zone. Oh my God, a Khan has to dodge the car of his own teammate, just rolling right through next to Vitality. Gedrox sees it all, but it's another Panzerfaust and a nade right on top of him. He's gonna go down.
That was his own grenade.
Oh no! Is he gonna take himself down there? Is he getting away? Barely manages to creep away from it.
That was his own grenade. It just bounced funny off of that pole or something. That is brutal for Vitality. Now, Hello My Bad has come in here and done some damage, but took down another teammate with it. This fight very chaotic.
He's put himself in the crossfire. He runs right into this point. They're trying to figure out where that last one is, but BC's already moving into a backstab position onto this, realizing how everything's set up on the leaderboard. So Vitality down to 2, and when we watch what's happening in this with DK, they're in trouble just down to 1, and VC just sees points in front of them and wants so much more.
Oh, they were just being active on the map here, looking for opportunities, looking for moments where other teams are going to bump into each other, and they have found a beauty. Tycon going to load up with the grenade, but it's going to be well short. Hello My Bad already left that building, gets in a vehicle and says, okay, I think maybe this fight might no longer be valid.
Vitality could get the blue chips and maybe cut over to the west, get to school, go for a res over there. T1's playing around that position, and Simon just denies it. Great shot coming out from the Panzer, and that was just, that's all you heard before he went down. So Vitality, this is now a big problem. Where does Hello My Bad go? He's the last one up. VC, man, just dominant the way they're playing right now. These guys got goals.
Fearless, dude. They are just completely fearless right now. They are just going to take every fight. They are just on one today, and they know it, so they are going to claim even more points, and it must feel great that it's Vitality, one of the teams that is just ahead of you on the leaderboard, only 6 points behind them now.
I'm kind of curious how far away that Simon took that shot from, because it looks like he was pretty separated away from that firefight. That had to be a pretty tight angle to hit on, but we'll have to see. Maybe catch something later on. T1 making their wrap in down to the south, going to be next to GAM. VC is going to have to kind of come along the same corridor, but they've been jockeying up against GAM for a while. Myth's got that high ground, but they're looking down into that 2-2 split coming up from Na'Vi. Falcons doesn't like it over into the east, so they're going to wrap more over to the north, and guess who that puts them up against? Rotating VP is that hillside that they're looking at could be pretty strong looking down into Hosan.
Yeah, you can see that both of our best teams in the lobby have similar ideas in this circle. It's a lot of rotations around the edge, just looking for enough space where they can kind of set up shop. Don't give yourself over. Look at this narrow angle through the door, up on the roof. Not super far, but far enough that it's a little tricky to get it through that door, and Simon absolutely gets it nailed down to a T. It's going to be Team Liquid. Ooh, takes a little bit of damage there, and it's actually VP. They've got an angle down this road. He's got to get out.
I mean, Hosan's about to pop off. Just too many people having angles on everything, and Team Liquid realizes it. 17's going to be more to the east. No clean sight lines yet. Gen G, friends from the previous game that they kind of were trying to, I guess Gen G was trying to hold out Team Liquid in the rotate. VP now gets control over the north. They've got plenty of space that they can play around this one. Curious to see where they go, as it is going to be Team Liquid having control around the res beacon. And other reses that could be happening, it looks like Shadows Kamal's did manage to make it over and get a res for his friends.
All right, I'm kind of curious about what Gen G wants to do with this. They are extremely fanned out on that western edge, have quite a bit of control. I'm very impressed that T1 has managed to get into some level of safety given the early game struggles that they had. A little bit of exchange of utility there for Kickstart, and Tig is going to use this glider to go up in the air, get some info, try to figure out where Falcons can go. They have safety in this next circle. It's the circle beyond that they're starting to think about already.
Gas it up a bit. Gam is got vision close range onto Jacob for Myth. They decided to go up the hillside. That's going to be a nice Tanbu hold. Just gets two. Myth, where are you even going to go from here? There's Gam all around both sides of this. Is just Tanbu, man. This guy is so good.
He's cracked. I mean, for a while, he was the best player in the world. You know, the other year, he was incredible. So definitely know that once he gets his kind of footing underneath him, he is a force to be reckoned with in and of himself. And Clories, Huang F, no slouches either. They're trying to wrap behind Myth. Now, Myth has a player in the blue. Baron doing some good damage.
Yeah, the Baron's now trapped. It's just full-on chase down to make sure they take him. It's going to be Duck Juice that gets the knock. Scappy's now trapped out in the blue, and Neron nowhere to go. I mean, the focus of the circle is we're kind of watching it, and Scappy's watching. Oh, there you go. Baron, make it a little bit painful for him. Slow him down a bit, but that does open up some more maneuverability for Na'Vi to reset. It does look like Na'Vi's going to regroup to see if they can pounce on this, but just couldn't get there in time.
Yeah, it's a good thing Duck Juice didn't need that helmet. His helmet is completely fresh, so had to take it off of his opponent there. Scappy gonna just try to rat things out a bit, get some extra points. Na'Vi hovering around the revival station. There's a lot of area that they can try to work into. Full Sense is sitting in a compound that's probably starting to look a little bit juicy for the side of Na'Vi.
Well, it's not even the compound, it's the hillside where we see the other three players from. For me, that is a strong point inside the circle that they're going to be trying to keep control over. And whenever we see so many teams that can't really play over into the east and nobody wanting to make a commitment in that area around Hosan, I mean, this is going to be really hard for Full Sense to try to defend, as the closest threat to them is VC. VC might decide they want that high ground.
I think Full Sense might not be reading that compound is going to be really juicy, and I hope that Tanadol has a good escape plan as we take a look at the just absolute chaos going on here, as I'm pretty sure this grenade just bounces off something inside of that awning. Yeah, he hits the very top of it there, right onto himself. Unfortunate for Gedrox,
but VP and 17 are fighting right now.
Yeah, they're down in the bottom.
Tian down, but it looks like VP in some trouble. Two players already down and flushed for the VP side of it. Blue Zone Nade's going to be on top of him. This is a nice hold coming up for 17 and right on the edge of the zone. Team Liquid really can't get a piece of this just due to how Hosan is set. And VP finally gets actually a little bit of a counter knock going on over here, as it looks like Corexi's trying to creep their way forward, but where do you go, man? It's just full defended, and he just got so little information. Now Falcons wrapping back behind all of this. If they realize it is going to be VP, they might opt into crashing this.
Yeah, well, they've got a mortar lined up there as well. Lil Ghost takes down his teammate with the grenade. Corexi, though, has a Panzer. If Lil Ghost pushes this corner, he's going to be in a world of hurt potentially. We'll have to see if he can bounce that grenade. It does do some damage. He gets the Panzer baited out. Now Corexi thinking about a frag of his own, cooks it pretty well. Lil Ghost going to shimmy over to the side, but out in the open, he's down and dusted. Corexi with the ace.
Just 1v1, finding a Jiawu on the other side, though. That's a much harder 1v1, and Jiawu is going to take it. Corexi just pulled in too many different directions. VP down, just 2 kills. Falcons finds another opportunity, but they can't find the circle.
So what are they going to do? Are they going to try to claim some of these 17 players' lives, or just maybe use a little bit of these hills and defilades that are created by the fields over on this southeast corner of Hosan? Yeah, that's what I was looking at, that crash. And Tanadol did have an escape valve, so that's A-okay. Meanwhile, Tambu did scoop up a Lynx. That's exciting, but this here by Falcons, a very important move to try to barricade out 17 as they pick up their pieces and try to hold out the other teams potentially. We'll see.
Team Liquid is pretty much spattered all across what we look at Hosan. They're down up over into the north with Luke 12, but that's opened up Vitality, have a path, get right in between all of them. New circle pops and it goes off of Hosan onto the hillside that Full Sense and VC has control over. So VC, who's been on an absolute rampage, now has a great position to play in the circle, and everybody has to come to them.
Yeah. Vitality's gone. That's unfortunate. After the last game, feels bad, man.
I mean, it's Navi's in a little bit of a weakened position back behind them, but VC just finding more and more, just 7 points to try to catch up to Vitality. Remember, we look at this, that it's mostly going to be Vitality and Navi vying for that top position on Champions, so if anybody can kind of intersect and steal a couple of positions right in between them, it'll even make it dicier as we look at the overall championship.
And everybody's probably pretty happy right now that VP, once again, low kill counts, low points. Falcons not able to find much just yet. They can't get anything off of 17, who now tries to make their way into the circle. Xiaowu just barely with 20 HP going to get there. Falcons trying to circumnavigate Twisted Minds, but Twisted Minds really spread out, and Gustav goes down. That's actually Hakatori from range.
There's nowhere to go. It's Twisted on defense on this one side of it. Navi's got that compound for control. Gam's also encroaching back behind all of this, but Falcons is just trapped in the most open section of this circle. And they've realized, okay, fine, just cut through. They've just got to run right by. Navi's taking shots one side of them. This hillside could provide some safety, but you can see Full Sense has got vision on top of it. Trimsy's going pretty deep into it, and that's going to put him right next to VC. He's got to turn that back around. They will not like him being that close range. Can he get any knocks? No, it is going to be actually Lou that gets the shot onto him.
Let's see who's going to get the point. It's going to be Tycon from VC, up to 5 kills now in this game. They are continuing their path of destruction, their reign of terror on day 2 of EWC PUBG Battlegrounds. Kickstart, you got anything left here for us, my friend?
If anything, they just need to find somewhere to hide and hunker down, because this is looking like this could be a decent game for Navi and VC both. Navi's got control over the east, while Gam and Full Sense are just on top of each other. Down to the south, we also do have Shadow and T1, with Gam also involved in that. To the north, we still have Team Liquid that's pushing pretty close to Twisted's positioning. So VC is just comfy in the center of the circle, and everybody else is just scrapping on top of each other.
Yeah, this is pretty quiet in the center. Oh, man. The mortar is coming really close to kick there. Also opened up some of that terrain in front of him, so it makes it even trickier. They're still coming up short, though, but he's taking damage from behind. Finally, it's going to be Tigger from Full Sense who's going to get him down.
Just had to get out of the divots because he was afraid of it, and that's the real thing. They had to step out of that angle, and that just opened it up for somebody else. Myth now also going to finally get eliminated. Twisted Minds just raining mortars over the hillside on anything that moves over there. Navi is going to be kind of moving up the hillside on their own down into the southeast, kind of backfilling where we saw Gam playing from a moment ago. Is Jin G also kind of coming over here to hang out?
Now I'm wondering if we're starting to create a little bit of a trench network, potentially. His kick already dead in that spot. Meanwhile, Gam dusting up with Shadow. Shadow's been able to get a little bit of value here, but not a ton. 5 kills still puts them at the bottom of the leaderboard. Mortar's raining in towards Clory's direction, but has the safety of a shack, so he will not be in danger to those necessarily. Genji now beginning to make their rotate down to the southern side. I like what Soul's doing. He found this open space. He's been hearing this fight go on.
I'm scared. I see being on a mortar. Looks like he might be kind of dialed into the area where Jexy is going to be at. I don't know. Maybe he also keeps kind of glancing over to where Navi's going to be playing from. Full Sense has been pretty quiet on the top of this hillside. They haven't had to get too involved, and it feels like every peek that they go for gets punished. I think that they're trying to play this as quiet as possible because they don't want to deal with any mortars. This is a very mortarable position, and they know it.
And they're just looking for an opportunity. Bean hits Salute. The mortar?
Salute moved into the circle.
And hit him.
And it hit him. So, there had to be a miscommunication happening there, as that seemed like that was very well planned in advance.
Yeah, that's very odd. It just maybe a wrong dial in, and now things getting worse. There was a grenade in hand for Soul there. Almost goes down to it. Half into the knocked state for him. Hakatori is about to knock on the other side. Bean, you got to load your gun there, my friend.
What is going on right now? Jin G, this is a cacophony of errors that is just, I don't know.
Not sure.
Not my Jin G. That's all I'll say is Bean is still keeping some defense at distance. It looks like they're resetting and getting Salute back up. Soul might be resable as well, as it's going to be Gam going for a res. Pretty close to that position. Jexy doesn't want to get involved in anything, but Navi with very little places to go are getting closer and closer to that position. And this is not where Gen G wanted to play. They're now stuck back on the edge yet again instead of getting that more centered position.
I mean, they might be able to get all their reses through, though. Gen G gonna have to hold off Gam. Gam finding an opportunity, but they're getting struck from behind. They're gonna keep tunneling in towards Gen G. Want to make sure that Soul is flushed. We've seen him down for quite a while. They're pushing through, and Salute's not ready for it. Glory's then gonna run through the vehicle, just expecting more players from Gen G to be there, but they are not. Tanvu up to 5 kills as well.
They've got a friend very close in Gen G on top of all of this. Navi's going to use the opportunity to see if they can try to get up next to Full Sense yet again. But no, it's going to be a nice hold coming up from Belmoth. Gets down in a quick flush on to Hakatori. Navi doesn't have too many more options, though. They've just got to try to push for something over here, and that's going to be right into the waiting arms of Full Sense. Very defended. Navi is just going to falter as well as everybody at the top of the leaderboard starting to find problems except for VC. And it's all the guys at the bottom on the hunt getting down dirty and finding points.
Yeah, VC looking at this game as an opportunity to slingshot up into 3rd place potentially. They can get some more points. They can get deep into it, which they certainly are in a prime position to do so. Jexy able to sidestep those blue zones rather easily. Gam, and they're having a nice little game for themselves. They've shot up 10 kills in this one, but then Jexy, what a timing there, gets Tanvu down. One more to go, but it's Belmoth from behind.
Just doing a perfect peak timing on to Tanvu of all people is just, that's something to be proud of. Glory is now kind of stuck over here. He's got Bean one side of him, Full Sense still on their high ground control. Team Liquid going to be the squad that's trying to assault in VC's positioning. They've been holding down for so long. Simon manages to cook it perfectly, drop it right on top of Purdy Curdy. Team Liquid's got to be careful because the other side is still Twisted Minds. And I mean, Liquid is just stuck here, man. There is nowhere to go. They can't move an inch into this circle.
No, I mean, I think as Liquid, you might just have to try to find a different fight because VC is in the zone right now. Like, they are untouchable with the way that they're playing, the way that they are in the flow state. So maybe it's a chance to try to punish Twisted Minds around the edge of this hill. Twisted Minds away from it! What a grenade from Batulans!
Perfectly cooked, rolls it right down into the face of Team Liquid. This is what we're talking about. There's nowhere to go. Twisted's got the high ground. They're going to wrap back behind us. Luke at least gets a counter knock on Batulans. He's got to deal with Lou low ground back behind him. Lou's just trying to wait out the smokes. Example runs up the hillside. Too many different ways to make it. Twisted manages to get it, but now they've got to walk into the circle. VC already counter moving to wait it out, wait for them to crest the hillside and take the firefight.
But as soon as they went out there, they actually spotted Bean and kind of turned around and started shooting at him. Full Sense trying to capitalize on the chaos in this situation by moving a little bit further forward into the center of the circle, but also keeping Gam under pressure, making sure that they can't do anything further, and they will successfully do so with a little bit of help from Bean.
Full Sense high ground, VC low ground in the dips, Twisted to the north, now having to figure out how they're going to get in. And I don't know, even if you get into the circle, kind of, you have to deal with close range VC, and Full Sense is going to have so much vision. You can see Lou's just trying to see if he can get a knock onto Full Sense, and it's just not working. All the bullets just going right over as VC is fighting in the shade of all the bullets flying over their heads.
It is kind of a mess, for sure. We'll just have to wait and see now. Things calm down for a brief little moment. I think there's enough on the edge of this circle that Twisted Minds can stay safe unless VC wants to make that move. Yeah, there's enough of this hill left that they're fine for now. Please tell me that is a C4 on it. It does not. I don't hear any ticking. I wish it did because it would have been so perfect.
Simon.
That almost ran him over. That would have been incredible too.
That was the real plan, right?
It
wasn't the fact that there was a little bit more hill there than anybody was expecting. It was all to go after Simon, make him think it was a C4 so they'd all jump out of position and can shoot.
Oh, if only that had been a C4. It would have been so good. But it's still pretty funny. Simon has the safety of that dip. His example should know, considering what we saw earlier in this event, that it's kind of hard to run people over inside of those things.
Yeah.
So, Full Sense, a pretty solid game here. Again, teams making moves all over the place today. I mean, look at this. From 9th to 16th, Matt, it's 9 points.
This is just neck and neck here at the bottom of it. And whenever we see VP and Falcons going out a little bit early, not finding a lot, Twisted trying to really rally their games back together. Example is going to go down. But I mean, Twisted, there was so few options, nowhere to really go. Full Sense is taking control over every section of the circle that VC does not. And there is just nothing that Twisted can do. They tried to fight their way in, but what are you going to do? It was 8v3.
Get Tigger here, making a crazy aggressive move. They know that they've got VC on the ropes. They are losing players left and right. There's only one still standing. I believe it is Duckmai over there trying to just see if he can find some way to get something done. Will get the first. If he can get another, then I'm a believer.
He's already revealed in position. They're running right up into his face. Got to be careful. High side of this one's going to be Flash. Duckmite just trying to use a little bit of the divot. Is it enough? Doesn't have enough time after the reload. He's going to go down. And Full Sense are going to find themselves a match victory and push themselves further. They want to shoot all the things. I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably VC or maybe... I mean, AGAL has shown a lot of strength out of playing that position. They don't do it a lot, but when they do, it's scary.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just curious what, you know, what Vicious's ideas are. That's where I'm leaning right now, especially given where they're at in the leaderboard and the day they've had.
Vicious is, they are, yes, vicious. We're not arguing that, but it feels like it's not just bloodthirsty. You don't want to say it's like barbarian rage, charging at whatever you can get. There is a methodology to the madness, and it is just a quiet strength that they bring out. Is popping a little bit of a, what do you call it whenever like a boat pops a wheelie? It can't be a wheelie because it doesn't have wheels.
I was just wondering the same thing in the back of my head. I'm like, what do you even call this?
A boatie?
When a boatie? There you go. Sure.
We'll go with that for now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. But Myth going to make a quick rotation across the bridge. Wants to get ahead of any potential campers. You know, who knows if VC had gotten really spicy. They are going to go up to the top here with Simon T. Just him for now. Curious if there's going to be more heading that way. Seems to be the case. Myth has the option for kind of the compound underneath the hill if they want.
I don't like this. I feel like Myth is like, nobody's shooting at us. Maybe we can go radio tower. Jacob, I think, I think they maybe spotted somebody a bit more on the top that was profiling them. Yeah, now they're going to go ahead and go the other side. I was nervous there from them.
You might have been right that AGAL wants the top of that radio tower. Like they are driving in a direction that makes me kind of question what the plan is, or if they're just maybe thinking something very different, because they are moving away from the center of the circle.
Look at this coming up from Vicious. They have just a full commitment onto radio tower. They don't want anything else. They don't want the crossroads. They don't want the control compounds around it. They are just committed up here. And yeah, it can be good if you have this position for long enough and the circle stays over here. But if it leaves, boy, does it suck to get out of that point. I have to assume that they've got an emergency pickup or something to kind of like leapfrog over all of this, because trying to get out of that spot sucks.
Yeah, it can be very treacherous. There is no doubt about that. HAL went into Novo proper, so kind of curious if they're sort of hedging their bets maybe. I don't know if they're looking to gatekeep or looking for a boat, or if they've got a team in mind that they wanted to try to you know, cut off in rotation in that direction potentially.
We do have those two emergency pickups, most notably with 17, but also Falcons has called one, and that makes me scared if they go all the way to the opposite side of it. Team Liquid's already got control over that southern coast, so Falcons going to be coming into this blind. Is it a full four-man, or maybe is it just a bit of a scout? It looks like most people are converging, and Falcons going to put their pole position placement, trying to catch up to VP on an emergency pickup, blind send into military base.
I think I saw a P90 in the mix there for them on the back of Kickstart's bag, so I think that should be pretty nice stuff for Falcons to work with if they do get in a fight when they come down. Now they do have some stuff west of the end of
is so tall, and they can actually hit these shots pretty easy.
That's not impossible for players of this caliber. You're absolutely right, man.
Are VC watching it? Oh, they're starting to beat in and look that direction. Are they going to take any shots just yet? I don't see anything coming out. They might let this one go, but there was a big opportunity to get something out of that. All right, Falcons, you made it past that section. You can see VC watching it. Longer range, actually, I think it was Gam was maybe taking some shots. I'm just afraid for wherever Falcons falls.
Yeah, Simon T did just scoop up a crate there as well for himself. Drove down off the top of the mountain. Nobody's watching the backside of it, really. 17's all the way tunneled in on the compound over on that other side. Now, there is a red zone here, and that can be a little bit scary for sure. Will help create some cover for the teams on the mountain if the circle ends up in this area. Just got to fan out about it a bit here as Falcons wait this out. VC has some safety inside of the compound if they so choose, but Simon T just going to be coming back. It is going to be the P90 that he scooped up for his squad from that crate to the south. And yeah, okay.
Another thing to note, we do have Vitality that's going for an emergency pickup, but 17 actually after their emergency pickup, I believe, found the vehicle that was along the road. I think that Falcons was aiming to try to drop on that vehicle, pick it up, and then move wherever else. Saw the fact that 17 had picked it up, and that might be why they made more of a commitment back in the radio tower, but that means that Tig, Shrimsy, and the rest of the boys are just going to be on foot, navigating that Badlands hillside, coming out of the radio tower, and hoping the circle gives them some favors, because if it cuts far west, up to the north, that's going to be a really hard trek on foot.
There is one boat but it is a little bit dangerous, as we can see. Virtus Pro has settled in to one of those bridge camp positions where they're trying to hide that they're here. Lou's been driving around for a little while. The rest of Twisted just past Pachinki right now, so they're a bit far away. So if there's a trap that is sprung on top of him, he might be in trouble. Let's see if they want to mess with him as he goes to grab for this boat.
Grab the boat, but then the lighthouse could be a problem. I think it's Correxy that's playing up there right now. The rest of Twisted are making their rotate. They might be just going for the cove that's just to the north of where we see VP playing from. You know, the kind of one that leads into all the other houses. If VP just goes for a ascended off the side, they could be harassed by a light. Actually, no. Blue looks like he's cutting more to the west. Interesting.
Yeah, I think this means that Twisted won't fall into this trap.
Oh,
no, they're driving into it.
Oh, I thought they might just go Fairy Pier. Lou, you might be safe, but nobody else is. That's a problem. 2 down already. Twisted took the path of least resistance, but it was actually heavily resisted.
Oh, and that's so smart there from VP to not shoot at Lou. Lou was trying to bait out some shots by getting in and out of the boat a little bit there to see if anybody was going to try to punish him. Turned out there was a punishment waiting, but Virtus Pro was even more patient. Who knew that polar bears could stalk their prey like that? They do a phenomenal job there. Get themselves two guaranteed points.
Vitality, where are you going to stop? As the circle does kind of move more center of everything. So Gam going to be in a great spot. Jin G, well, since looks like they've got inside track to a great point to play from. Team Liquid's just going to continue to hold down the south. VC's got the radio tower, do those shots back over at DK. Anyone's Legend, Shadow also have to move in from the east. T1's going to cross that eastern bridge. They should be fine. Really, it's just about now what does Twisted do? Lose on the island, but he's all by himself. As Vitality's going to be landing on top of Gam. But this building doesn't have the best sight lines onto everything that's going on above it. Tandu's actually rotating away while Vitality just sneaks in and takes the spot.
Yeah, this is a little bit concerning for Gam. Now they kind of have to hold on in this 2-2 split. Clories and Tanvu starting to hoof it back over, maybe even have a vehicle to work with. Duck Juice, though, underneath, able to take down Hello My Bad. So that's a nice start, but you do have Gedrox going down as well. So Vitality felt like maybe they were going to have the drop on Gam. No.
Fifth place right now, and it feels like that pack that's chasing Twisted Minds at 70 points, just going to be trying to usurp it, come up quick. DK's on a bit of run of their own right now, so Vitality instead goes for the safer play. They surrender the building and just retreat to the oil derricks, and that's not very safe. There is no hard angles around that, so you always feel like you're vulnerable because there is no specific safe angle from everything.
Yeah, it is not fun to play out there. As anybody who has tried has found out. So Vitality going to be in a really precarious position, to say the least, with PK just outside of the...
Gam was expecting them to push, man.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. Gam has to. I mean, you have to be ready because as Vitality, you don't have great options. And so one of the options might just be to try and fight, but Vitality's going to try to squeak their way into the late game if possible.
VP's now leaving this point. So if VP leaves, Perfectix can swoop in back behind, get the blue chips, maybe fill up the trunk a little bit more with some of the basic loot and go for a blue chip because there is the res beacon that's just kind of the northeast of that. Lou doesn't have any vision on it, so he wouldn't know. Perfectix might just have to play this one safe, and yeah, he's actually going to move over into the west and doesn't know that VP's left.
Well, VP has a ton of circle for themselves, too.
Yeah.
A lot of teams have gotten clustered in the center of the military base, center of the circle as best they can. So that entire west side's open. Baron, that's a nice shot with the ace. Takes down End. End trying to scoot away, but cannot. Will be claimed by Kiss. So Myth, but Baron gets caught by a grenade from Raining right on top of him. Heather, 2 HP, trying to find some safety to heal.
You got to kill that man. You can't leave him on 2 HP. He will murder your whole squad. Navi wanted a piece of what we saw just 1 second ago. Try to get themselves back to the point hunt, but Type pretty far away. He's just got to keep a control angle on what's going on with Hakatori and the rest of the crew. So this is going to be abandoned by the circle, and we move directly onto military base proper, and the airfields and Team Liquid already in a good point, left that coastline. Going to be kind of setting up around that, but VC, okay, now you've got to move down from the radio tower, and Falcons already kind of prepped for it, expecting it to go this direction. Is going to be moving into, guess, what, maybe the bunkers position? That's about the best you can find there.
Yeah, it gets a little sparse on the southern side of the military base.
Some
Some of the buildings in the center that give you some level of comfort and safety for sure. And some of those like missile silo things are not too bad at times once the circle starts to kind of work in that direction. Exactly where Genji is. I don't know.
Run right back into shadow.
Dude, T1 is just, they've lost the script. They've lost the plot. I think they're going for the revive.
Maybe?
I'm pretty sure. No?
Shadow doesn't even take shots.
Are they just making a wide wrap? Are they going to go up to the tower?
Might be trying to just go around the radio tower itself, because sure, I mean, Tycon's up there, but no, he's taking the shots. Na'Vi doesn't really like playing into the north, so they might just go ahead and jump back down to the south. That's going to be the field area that we can see the Team Liquid's got mostly under control, but no, instead it's just going to be a cut and run right down into the center. But Genji's too separated to really do too much about this unless they get a knock right here. Nope. It's going to be mostly full sense again. That's going to try to get something out of it. Belmont gets knocked onto Hector.
Yeah, from those garage houses, full sense able to connect a ton of damage. Now, Boostic does have the M249. Finds a knock to try to relieve some of this pressure that full sense was able to create, but Tigger can find a good grenade here. Could spell the doom of Na'Vi, and it's perfect! Oh!
Okay, full sense. More control over the center would be good. Getting rid of Na'Vi would be magnificent. Na'Vi still holding on to fourth place, but just by 1 point. Vitality has to be loving watching this happen. The kill feed is now Ferris, the last one up. He's just going to be hiding in crates. There's nothing else that he can really do over here. Maybe he can sneak over and get these reses, but you can see everybody's just trying to chain crawl toward him. Hector should be resable. I don't know about the other side of it, as Gen G is going to lose a player on the other side of this.
Yeah, I mean, again, Gen G really loves these widespread formations. They just don't work in a lobby like this. There's just too many good players, and there isn't enough cover from the positions that the other players had taken to bail out anybody who gets under pressure. They just have to kind of sacrifice players left and right. Duckmai, ooh, he's got a knock there onto Hansi, I believe. So
yep,
it's going a little bit awkward for... Yep, there you go. It's awkward for Shadow is what I should say.
Yeah, Shadow followed T1, and Vicious was just watching that the whole time. So this does cost Vicious placement in the circle, but there is some open areas down in the southeast that they can play around. Shadow, you can see, just kind of trapped out here right now with Duckmine out down. Jexy does get that knock. Tycon, though, is not going to let that go quietly. I think he wants some vengeance back. Blue Zone going to be putting in some work, and it just takes a couple of taps to get Jexy down.
Yeah, but you're kind of seeing the results of what you were talking about earlier, Matt, where coming down off this mountain sucks. Like, and like to VC's credit, they're trying to wait this out long enough that they don't have to deal with teams when they're coming down those slopes. But because Shadow took so long over in Novo, they got involved with a fight with AGAL, I think, early on that it's kind of getting a little bit tricky for them. Seeing some mortars come into play, Scappy doing some damage, Na'Vi losing their lives, and they are done for the day. Currently in fourth. Feels safe-ish, but then who knows with Geekay still there. Vitality still has two players up.
Okay, where do you go? VP looks like they're going to get control over to the southwest, what they're stretching out for. T1's barely touched the circle. Shadow doing the same, but they ran right into the Falcons. Remember, Falcons just kind of running down on foot. Shadow doesn't, at least has a vehicle. Get a little bit further into this, but I think that Falcons just might want those vehicles and might start chasing after Shadow.
Oh, no doubt. And also, you know, with Kamal's being knocked up front there, you're going to be feeling pretty comfortable to even scoop up a point potentially here and claim a lot of control over this eastern edge at the very least temporarily. You'll have the safety of these shelters. Gustav knows that there's a player in there, so thinking about the grenade, but Cessna dug in the back.
Gustav better be careful on the peak. They also don't want to do too much damage to the car, so wouldn't be surprised if they try to avoid going for the tires. Actually, they don't care. Just throw the nade right back behind it. Setsuna in some trouble. He has to run forward, runs right out, does get the knock. Full play, does at least get 1 point before he goes down, and it's on to Shrimsy of all people.
Yeah, he had to go for something crazy, and he knew it, and almost converted with more than just one, but opted to just stick for the point, try to keep themselves out of that bottom position. In fact, it's a three-way tie at the very bottom of the leaderboard with AGAL and 17, so keeping things a little bit interesting down there. Of course, every placement matters. You want to get a little bit more money. There is Tycon, one of the two survivors for Vicious, just taking a peek, seeing what's going on with Falcons, seeing if maybe there's a free point available, but none will be offered up to him, and he is going to have to find his way in. Now, there's option for him for sure. He has either like the side of the hill if Falcons abandon it, but because they're on the top of it, he's not going to have that available to him right now. There's some stuff to the west that he could drive to that has a little bit of cover, so there's things here that Tycon can work with, at least in the next circle, it looks like.
Pal's playing over into the east as well. Looks like they're just trying to find something. Luke 12 is going to go down on the rotate from Team Liquid. I think that they had managed to call back in one of their players, and it instantly gets punished. Cowboy, yep. He just tried to go for something, at least maybe scout out for the rest of the squad. Is now Team Liquid's just kind of the odd team out. There's nothing in this section of the circle that feels good, and they're just trapped over here. And this is just been kind of what's going on for Team Liquid. They're finding the kills, but they just can't find a way into some of these circles that are just so mean, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and there's this little oil drum that Tycon has found for safety. Sees Curdy driving around the outside. Yep, Kurt just looking for any kind of safety. Him and Alo cross paths to see if there was something that they could do to get into this next circle, but there was not much.
Heard the Chinese casters over to my left here. They just flip it out. It's like, yeah, 17, managing to get up. Now tied up with Team Liquid, get that distance away from Shadow and AGAL if they can find it. Team Liquid now going to get eliminated. 17's got control over the south in that, I guess, more open territory, but VP is going to move to the crates to the west of them that they're taking shots. Is now POW. I mean, what do you do? You've got Vitality. Remember, we saw them go to those oil derricks earlier. They're going to be gatekeeping you one side, and you still have to get where we've seen the compound that everybody keeps trying to just emergency pick up to, that GAM's got control over, the most eastern section of the circle.
Yeah, things get really uncomfortable for anybody not in this current circle, because trying to get through should be relatively challenging. VP's actually sending it pretty deep towards the center. I love the way VP has played this game from start to finish. Controlling that western bridge not only gave them points, but it also gave them so much space on the western side that they've opened up a lot of the circle for themselves here in the mid game.
Look at this weird thing they've got going on. Falcons got to run to the circle. They get a knock on a Tycon. But now Tycon feeds the information over to POW. So POW's going to try to sneak over here. It looks like he was maybe trying to backstab onto the Falcons. Remember, Falcons trying to see if they can catch up the VP. VP's in a pretty decent spot in the circle, while Falcons just got to chase. Gustav not going to let it happen, though. So Falcons getting both players of Vicious on opposite sides of the circle.
Oh, phenomenal reactions here by Gustav. Even though he's down to 1 HP, he's able to hold on just barely. But speaking of holding on, it's now just Quizzy for Vitality. He is looking to find some entry into this circle, but again, there aren't great options. Maybe he can get some kills, has the AK at the ready. Oh, switches over to Mark 12. Falcons trying to make the smoke bridge.
This doesn't feel good. I think they spotted. Nade's gonna roll forward. There you go. Tig gonna find another one. That's really about pathing, though. But guys, remember, Vitality tried to leave. They didn't like it that direction. They had to retreat back here. Falcons, you're about to just have to fight your way against GAM or Geek K, who's been hearing this firefighting and is now sitting up around the oil derricks waiting to catch. Remember, we talked. There's no safe angles around these things. Geek K is going to have one side of it, GAM on the other. Falcons are walking into a death trap and they don't know it.
And that was Tig's last smoke. So there just isn't any other ways to create extra cover and angles for yourself as Falcons. You have to do it just with your feet and your wits. And we'll see if Gustav has that available. Geek, I don't know how aware they're going to be of this. Gustav might catch.
Oh, Khan's playing the wall.
Akan is kind of watching it. There's some smokes over here. Some noise being made, though. And now it's danger close. Geek on guard.
Good round, but exchange. It's going to be Park Pro that gets the knock on to Gustav. Gustav at least takes down Akan. Now Falcons, where do you go? Crossfire now being set up. Gam taking shots at kickstart. He's just trying to cover any movement for the rest of Falcons to see if they get next to Gustav. But great shot comes out from Songjong, hits it, and now Falcons in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the links there for Songjong. Spelling doom. Tiggleton trying to heal through this blue and get into that 8th place spot if possible.
Oh!
He gets the knock on to Songjong. They lose track of possibilities. Is Tig going to be able to get the heal off in time? No, they aren't able to get any placement points.
VP jumping on the other side of what's going on with 17 and Jin G. Now just fighting to see how much distance that they can get away from Falcons. VC down behind them, Navi down, Vitality down, Twisted down. So Falcons gonna hold down that 2nd place position. It's just about how much more can VP get. 4 kills right now, and it's gonna be moving into a very foot push friendly section of the map.
Yeah, this is still looking okay-ish for VP. I mean, again, they're gonna have some opportunities with these barrels and other things that are in the way of the military base proper that they can work with to at least keep themselves somewhat safe, but it requires smokes to get there, and they're going to be sending it deep into the crates.
Okay, squeeze by there. Full Sense is going to be alerted to it, but they don't have the angles on anything going. AGAL is getting picked apart on the other side of this, and they're trying to make their push next to GAM. GAM still just holding down the compound that they've held for so long, but it's not really inside the circle anymore. Jin G is going to be regrouping just in front of them. It's really just about how much more VP can get, and they've got center control in phase number 6 based off of this move. Uh-oh. That's all I can say for this lobby.
Whoa, there we go. I'm very curious as well about Full Sense's frag grenade situation, because we saw that they were able to really destroy Na'Vi with those in that moment when they dropped in there. So right now, it doesn't seem like they're going to commit those just yet. Maybe trying to get a better idea of where Virtus Pro players are, or maybe just ran out. Hard to say which it is. Geeky going to come through with 3 still alive, so not the end of the world for them. You do get Sungjong with that Lynx back on his feet for them, so some heavy firepower still in the mix.
Big thing for me is AGAL, GAM. They've got to get in the circle. Gen G's still holding them out. Gen G has been kind of fighting up against them for a while, but D doesn't have the best defended angle against this approach that anyone's Legends trying to do. You can see that they smoked wall around, moved over onto the other side of the silos, managed to creep in on this one. It's not quite in for safety, and really this back corner that we can see that AGL is playing, it's not inside the safe zone either. They're going to have to move to the more vulnerable side of it, and they much rather kind of play this position, but the other players for Gen G can defend D as long as he can find some safety, but they manage to peek up at the perfect side of it, but D holds it, gets the knock on a 1, does go down to the second, but AGAL now down to just destroy, and they had to deal with Gen G. The timing on the other side of this, though, is GAM played it perfect. They ran across right as soon as AGAL made their move.
Oh, Soul had absolutely wrecked GAM, but because D couldn't hold on his own, he gets hit in a flank angle by Destroy. So he's going to have to crawl down to the safety of the inside of the missile silo to try to survive. But Tanvu, I think, might have a sense of it. The grenade bounces just shy of the mark.
GAM's got to do this fast. Geek's back behind them. They need to move as well. Shots now starting to come on to GAM. There's nowhere to go. Geek just absolutely massacring GAM. Big Nate lands in the middle of them. Follow up. Duck Juice, the last one alive. But now DK's in trouble. Myth is taking shots at them, and this cross is going to be hazardous.
Well, I mean, for Geek, getting some kills there is very nice because, again, tough run to make for you going forward, cutting across the sight lines of a couple different teams, but you just bailed Gen G out just a bit as well. So let's see how they're going to opt to try to make their move forward. Still have about 25 seconds until that next circle pops, so Park Pro going to use the folding shield to offer himself a little bit of cover. Meanwhile, Virtus Pro, given the time, given the space, they are going to start creating those foxholes, start creating their defensive network.
Getting scarier and scarier for the lobby by the second. Geek's got to move. Gen G's position in the silo to the north, not going to be too good. Destroy still alive for AGL to the south of it. Nothing good happening in the middle of it, as hey, in the middle of all of VP is going to be some mortars coming out. Kiss and the rest of the crew from Myth have got control of the north, but DK has the exact same idea that Myth had just, not Myth, I'm sorry, but we had GAM had a moment ago. They're going to push to the other side of the silo, and can they get any knocks? Nah, Jacob's going to go ahead and spot out EJ to start it off.
That was just short of Correxy, hit the top of the crate, couldn't quite get far enough to do any damage to him, so Scappy not really connecting with the mortars, but very, very close with a few of them, but close is not good enough in a game like this where you need to be doing damage to VP to keep them from continuing to extend that lead that they have right now up to 114. Geek looking for the res and then probably going to try to take this fight.
Can't really go for too much of a peek because of Destroy's positioning, but Gen G can't move because of where we see Geek at. So Park Pro at least finishing one of those problems. Maybe be able to solve the second one here in just a second. Is no, Myth still getting involved. Songjong gonna get knocked again, and it's just go time. Geek's got to jump down right into the waiting arms of Gen G. That's one. Can they get the last shots on Park Pro? No, trying to step up and around it. But the silos providing some level of safety. Myth actually aggressively moving into this position as well, and Park Pro just getting cooked.
Beautiful coordination there from Soul and Bean. Just the perfect timing on the double molly. That was a thing of beauty. That looked like synchronized swimming for a second. Absolutely stunning work from them to keep Geek out of their real threat range and problems. As now you have Correxy down. The problems starting to mount a bit for VP. However, Beamy able to respond, take Bean down from Gen G. More explosions rain in.
If VP can just outweight what's going on with Gen G, they'll have so much more control and safety to play from. Full Sense making in the later stages yet again, trying to see if they can touch that 70s pack that everybody's been hanging out at, but you can see that VP has to be cautious. Myth still getting more maneuverability over into the northeast, trying to get that space away from Full Sense. It's going to be Tigger that's really trying to hold them out. Gen G is the linchpin for everything that's happening right now. Myth can't move to the south because of Gen G's positioning, and VP can't focus on the circle because of Gen G.
Yeah, Gen G is left up a creek without a paddle, man. There is not a lot without a ton of smokes that they're going to be able to do in this scenario, or some unbelievably good frag grenades, some kind of utility going to be necessary to cross this space, it feels like. So there's one. Do we see two? There is a frag here from Soul. It is going to be up and over. Doesn't matter. He gets immediately taken down, and the grenade does not connect.
What do you do, Genji? You're just, as you said, pretty much without a paddle over here. Spray's going to connect. More points to VP, though. That makes it even scarier for everybody else. It's going to be a squad down. 6 kills now, sitting at trying to touch that 120-point line. Myth, so few options. Kiss does at least manage to get a knock, but it's going to be Tigger that comes alive on the other side of it. This is full sense finding a great flank onto this. Tigger's been playing aggressively, but he goes down. That means that the whole push coming out from Full Sense on the side has collapsed, and the aggressive play coming up from Myth is punished.
And now it feels like this may just be a Virtus Pro win by nature of the fact that Myth and Full Sense have done so much damage to each other. Scappy going to take a moment to try to regroup or look at Corexy. He doesn't want to give them the opportunity if possible. There's still a lot of those emergency covers on the ground between Corexy and Myth, so he's having a tough time maybe finding the angle, but Lucarux immediately finds the re-knock, and there's the finish. It's Flash with the double.
More kills, more placement. VP is absolutely feasting right now. Full Sense, they managed to creep up just 2 points back behind Twisted Minds. But really, it's going to be about that center dot. Lucarux going to be very close to it one side. Lots of compounds and Full Sense playing off, I guess, buildings the way they can really maneuver around them. VP's got the crates. Yeah, that's kind of good, but trying to bounce from one to the other feels so punishable, especially when you got VP playing mostly down into the southeast.
I like that our observers are showing us Belmoth right now because he's the key guy in this situation for Full Sense because he has a Lynx. That can be an instant difference maker for them. Meanwhile, Beamy has a Panzer, so two of the big key weapons that could be involved in this fight, that could turn the tide one way or another, are going to be big points of focus potentially. So Beamy, Belmoth, are you going to be able to do anything?
Here's my question: how superstitious are you? VP, if they manage to take the last round right before moving into the smash rules, means the fact that they're pretty much going to have to double it up to follow out of everything. So VP, though, they want points, they want distance, they want everybody to be chasing after them, and they want to be in charge to start punishing everybody else that could try to take the position. Nixie does get down Flash. That's going to open up Lucarux to get more aggressive on positioning above it all. BB cross side of the entirety of the circle, trying to make sure that nobody goes for a push after the down player. Gonna get a great line right onto Full Sense, walking through the smokes, and right in the face, Lucarux, no fear! VP comes up big last game, and they are setting the pace in a big way.
This is a huge, huge moment for Virtus Pro. They are going to set that point threshold that much higher because